Hi guys, I am AMS-KungPao, and today I'll be showing you my Nordschleife hotlapping setup for this 2016 Mercedes AMG GT3. But before that, I'll be talking about things like how this car feels to drive, what characteristics to be aware of, how fast this car is compared to the other maxed out Group 3 cars, my personal take on how enjoyable this car is to drive overall. Now this car is pretty well behaved aside from the occasional loss of traction coming out of the slow corners, but it is very manageable and it doesn't have the on-throttle understeer like you feel when driving a lot of the other Group 3 cars in GT7. Under braking it behaves very well too, as it doesn't have too much understeer or oversteer going into the corners with how I made the setup. So car behavior overall is very tame, and you don't need to be a cautious driver when driving this Group 3. Where this car does struggle on though is its overall speed. It isn't very fast all around. Cornering speed is actually not bad, but basically everything else it struggles pace-wise against the fastest cars in the category. If I were to make an estimation of how much slower this car is per lap at the Nordschleife than the fastest Group 3, I'd say it would be more than 7 seconds slower, even though I haven't done a full lap with the fastest Group 3 yet. Even with a pace disadvantage though, the 2016 AMG GT3 is very fun to drive, as I still drive this car pretty often, and I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. And I fully recommend people to buy this car, as it is a fun and well-behaved racing car. After driving this car for myself, I can now understand why I have a few people tell me that I need to make a video on this car, as it is a very nice car to drive. So, with that being said, let's move on to my hot lap and setup. I don't know how I feel about that first. Alright, wasn't bad, apparently. .3, that's pretty good. So that's how you properly do that corner. Tires lost grip? I don't know where the loss of grip even came from. But I'm not complaining too much about it. I still get a 2.0. I've gotten sub 32s there before, but this is still better than average at 2.0. My average. Nice. I have mixed feelings about how I did that corner, but it's still a 48.0, which is still pretty fast. This next difficult corner is pretty difficult, because if you're a quarter of a foot off the racing line, you just understeer off. Okay, that didn't happen that time. Just touching the curb there doesn't really hurt you much at all. Almost lost traction there. I was very close. Yeah, this carousel is very weird. .4, that is flying. This is really good so far. Bit of oversteer there on entry. No big deal. This next corner throws me off all the time. Didn't that time. Nice. Alright. This is looking very promising. So, I've done this lap, well, a complete lap, about 5 times by now. This is the 5th time, because the other times, just the recording literally fails. So, this is my 8th hour that I had to redo this lap over again. So, yeah. .9. The last sector was very bad. But I'm pretty mentally drained, so I don't really care if there are any skips in the recording. I'm just over it, over doing this lap over and over again. I don't want to go literally insane over this, so yep. Y'all, that is my lap. I've done a lot more work to get this lap than I needed to. Just the PS4 capture feature is just a real pain in the ass sometimes. But hope you enjoyed the lap, and let's move on to my setup. So what you see here, guys, is my setup. So if you have any questions about the setup that I have, then let me know in the comments. If you have any questions concerning the setup, or well, anything in general about this car, then I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So I won't really be talking about this section of the setup, since you can just look at it and apply it to your car and you'll be perfectly fine. So let's move on to the transmission. So what you need to do to match the numbers perfectly fine on your first try is apply the throttle first, and then you work your way up from there. I use -3 for my brake balance for my lap. So yeah, that's what I use for my brake balance. And that's basically all I have for my setup. Hope you enjoyed my setup and in this video, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Later, guys.